This is going to be an epic battle. I've just got back into Zwifting, and what better way to do it than to start a race series, baptism by fire, and really just back into cycling. I've signed up for an Ironman, so I need to get into cycling, and this is one way that I'm going to do that. So to figure out sort of where I am, I've done stage 1 and stage 2 already. Stage 1 I came 4th, stage 2 I came 7th, and I thought what better way to up the ante and try and push me a bit further to get closer to the podium than record it. But disaster struck from the very beginning. Jesus Christ, I'm not moving anywhere and I'm putting out loads of power, but my watts are just not coming up on the screen and everyone is just cycling away from me.
I'm dead. Oh. Shit. I might not even make it back now. That could be it.
I'd already done like a little bit of a warm-up. I thought I'd had everything sort of set up, but I jumped on the bike fairly last minute, 13 seconds, and for some reason the watts just were not connecting. It wasn't showing up and I didn't go anywhere. So I know now that everyone has gone really hard from the start, which is difficult anyway, but now they're also in a group together and I'm on my absolute lonesome. To even just maintain the gap between me and them, I need to put out more power than what they're doing. So to close that gap and actually catch up, it's going to be mad difficult. But the camera's rolling. I spent like 20 minutes trying to set up for this thing. I don't have any other time really to get this race in or even train. And I'm towards the top range of this category. So if I can catch up, I still have like a fairly good chance. So I think, screw it, let's do it. I'll try and catch up and then I'll decide. Off we go, time to dig deep and see if I can actually catch up with these guys. I start putting out big power. I have another issue where my shoelace is undone. I'm on my Concept 2 bike, so I'm not clipped in and my shoelace is like racking around the crank arm. And so I kind of need to stop a little bit for that. I just quickly try and tuck that into my shoe, don't do it up, and just carry on because I know that I've got no time here to waste. Putting out red power close to like 300 watts or top end of 200 watts. And I'm actually catching up with some people, some stragglers. Maybe they had a poor start as well, or they don't realize that they need to be in the front group. So I'm catching them up, I'm overtaking them because they're kind of just, they're all apart from each other. So there's no real benefit of sticking with them. I need to just go straight through them so I can try and catch up with this front group. And that's where the race is gonna be. And then hopefully I can catch up with them, settle in, recover, and then leave it for a sprint finish towards the end. The game plan going into this is to basically put out as little watts as possible, stay in the draft as much as possible, and then just try and get on the podium at the end with a sprint. That is like the most efficient way. Zwift is very competitive, so you need to be tactical when it comes to races. I've learned that in the past, and definitely putting out this massive, huge effort now to just even catch up. I know that I'm going to have to try and ease up and rest a little bit if I want any chance at a sprint finish. So 3 minutes in, we catch up to that front group and I actually go flying straight through it because I've been putting out so much power and I'm super relieved at this point and I can kind of just ease up hopefully now. The issue is if I ease up too much and I try and rest too much because I am absolutely exhausted at this point, then I'll just drop off again. So I need to rest but not rest too much, and that sometimes can be actually quite a difficult thing to do. If you catch up, you almost want a complete rest, but you know you can't do that if you want to stay with them. So there looks to be about 19 people in this race, maybe 10, 11 or so in this front group. The power does ease off, so I can start to recover a little bit, providing that I can still hang in there and nobody surges and I fall off the back. Now the race series is called Flat is Fast, and I thought this route was going to be dead pancake flat, but actually when I signed up to it and I looked at it like a few minutes before, I realised that's actually a reasonable amount of elevation for the size of the course. And going through it, and it's 2 laps, you can kind of see like it's a bit more rolling, and this makes it actually really challenging on the Concept 2 bike. On my turbo trainer, my kicker core, and my bike at home, rather in the gym, it's much easier to adjust the gears and keep with the group up and down the hills. But on this bike, I have to manually up and down the damper, which doesn't really relate much to gears, but basically it's very difficult for me to get the gradient, the hills right, and the amount of power that I need to put out to stay with the group. And I also find that there's a bit of a latency between how much power I'm putting out on the bike and what it displays on Zwift on the screen. So there's a bit of a delay in comparison to my kicker core, which often means for these hills I can very easily get dropped because my power almost kicks in a little bit late. So I actually have to try and ramp up a bit earlier to make sure I don't get dropped. Now we know there's a drafting benefit, so as soon as I do lose the group a little bit, I'm in big trouble because my power is delayed, and then I only drop further and further back from the group. So it's going to be a really difficult race for me actually, because there's these rolling kind of lumps and bumps, and it's very difficult on this bike to make sure I get those right. So I have to be very attentive to make sure I don't miss any moves, make sure I ramp up the power early enough when it comes to these ramps, when it comes to these rolling hills. And if there's any surges, I also need to be very aware of that, because I can quite easily fall too far behind, because a surge can happen, and then if I'm like 2-3 seconds behind, then I start putting out the power, then there's a delay for it actually getting across to Zwift, then I'm like 5-6 seconds behind that guy, and it's again very difficult to catch up. You can see I massively struggle to keep up on the hills, but generally I'm still in contention here. I've managed to settle down the power, I'm in that front group, so I'm still in contention for a podium spot. We've still got like 18k to go here, and about 11 minutes in we have a surge up this little kicker. So Mr. AD comes out and smashes some big power, and he goes off the front on his own. I'm pretty confident at this point because nobody else goes with him. We've got a bit of a group, and there's still so far to go in this race for him to be able to stay away. So I kind of let him go. I think that's okay, and I'm hoping that we should be able to pull that back and still give me a crack at the first place position. But if not, he's on his own, and if he does it for the whole 18k out on his own, then he deserves that win, no doubt. He can absolutely have that, but I think we can bring him back. So we're pulling him back here. He did about a K on his own off the front. I was really surprised actually that he managed to stay away for so long, just because we were a really nice tight group and he was completely on his own. But he did manage to stay away for a reasonable amount of time. But ultimately the drafting is a massive bonus, and we pull him back, which is nice. Into lap 2 now. I've managed to conserve some energy and stay with the group, which is awesome. Now we have a little bit of a climb at 10.5 k left to go, and I really push it here and dig deep, because I know that I could quite easily lose things here again, because I've been up and back when it comes to these hills. I've really kind of struggled to get the right pacing when it comes to the power and staying within the pack, but I've managed to. It definitely takes a lot of effort to do that, but generally, like, I'm still in like a very good position. I'm in the pack, I'm managing to stay there. I have to put out some big surges at certain points, but I'm still managing to get that rest in a little bit as well, and I should still have some energy come the end. 6.4 Ks to go. AD does it again. He drops the hammer up this little kicker tries to drop us all, or at least spread things out, see if anybody's going to go with him. Now there's much less of the race now, so if he does get away, he has a much better chance of staying away. Contemplating, like, do I go with him, then there's 2 of us and maybe there's 5 in this group, or do I stick with the group and just hope that we do bring him back? And ultimately that's what I decided to do. My legs are pretty cooked, they're definitely not fresh at this point, and I know there's still going to be a sprint and finish, and I don't think I can do 2 things here. I don't think I can bridge up to him or go with him and then also sprint at the end. This guy is an absolute animal though. He stays away from us. He actually puts in more of a gap to us and makes it very difficult. But it gets very close now to the end of this race. We know that we need to catch him. People are going to start to push for the line now, or a better position. And I just feel like if we can all push together, now's a good time to try and bring him back. So with a bit of a gradient here, now I decide the time is to really push on and see if I can drop some big power to catch him with these group of guys. But it just so happens that I was pushing hard and the guys behind me didn't really respond. They didn't really follow. I thought they were, but they weren't really coming with me, but I was closing the gap. And just like that, absolutely buzzing, I managed to close the gap to him. So it's now just me and him out in front. There's only like a K to go at this point, so it's a really good position to be in. 2 of us, and then there's a group behind us a few seconds down the road, and maybe there's like 4 of them. So if we push hard, we can do it. As I catch up to him, I kind of go straight through him, and I sort of think, maybe I'll try and actually push on here, see if I can break him, and just go straight past him, and just leave him for dead, and just go for the line 1K out. But he does a real good job of then just sticking with me and sitting in behind me. But what that does mean is we manage to gap the guys behind us. So obviously he's pushed really hard for so long, and then I've gone straight through him, pushed really hard, and he's managed to keep up with that. So we've maintained quite high power for a long period of time, which meant that we really managed to drop the guys behind us. Now I'm in first position. We've just got 400 meters left to go. This is super exciting. I decide that I'm going to drop the hammer as late as possible. So I'm looking out to see if he goes, I'm looking to see if his numbers go up, and then I'm just going to drop the hammer and go for the line. So I start ramping up with about 250 meters to go, and really with 200 meters to go, I really put a dig in, and now this is my sprint effort, and I've got to go as hard as I can to make sure I can stay away from him and he doesn't come past me at the line. Bosh, and that's it. We take a win, and it was an absolutely epic race because you have that guy going off the front doing massive surges. I massively struggled to catch up in the first instance, but I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I pushed hard and stayed with the group. Race strategies, tactics and stuff were really fun in this, and it made me push towards the end really hard. So good race, good fun. Absolutely buzzing to get the win in this. It was super fun, and I'm glad I actually stuck it out, recorded it, and now it's here. I think we've got one more race in this series, so I might get that on YouTube as well, so subscribe if you want to see that. Comment below, got any questions or anything, but until the next one, see you then.